are actually the first two landmarks you would see from the Freedom Trail. So if you ever heard about the Freedom Trail, later on I'm going to point out and show you where it starts. But if you were to explore the Freedom Trail, you'd see these two landmarks as the first ones you'd see once you started. Immediately to your right, you'd see the Robert Gould shot in the 54 Regiment Memorial. Now, that would be a memorial that pays homage to the very first all-black African-American regiment in our army, designed by an artist known as Augustus Sangoda. Now, the beautiful thing about those memorials, or that memorial, the sculptures you saw would be captured, or sculptures that are captured by Augustus Sangoda in using 41 different African-American men as models to cast the faces. So every face on those soldiers would be casting real faces, giving you real faces, different faces, but also real facial structures and real facial structures. As we are going to be making motion, we're going to be leaving stop 8. We're going to be going down towards Congress Street, and eventually Congress Street will now guide us towards the financial district. So we're going to be doing the last portion of the tour before we get to stop number 1 and restart our tour. Now, the Boston and Charlestown Pass would be a pass that allows you to join the orange and the blue line. And you would be able to hop on, hop off over the blue line on the 8 stops, over the orange line on the 3 stops, and they all merge by stop 1, which is the place we're going to be eventually heading to now. Now we're going to be going down the northern slope of Beacon Hill, and the northern slope of Beacon Hill will now lead us towards Cambridge Street. The buildings we see on our left still belongs to the State House. The State House takes about 6.7 acres of space. That belonged earlier to John Hancock. He raised his cattle here. Nowadays, multiple buildings, takes about almost 3 blocks, and the park you see belongs to the State House as well. It's known as Ashburton Park. Ashburton Park is now where you find the Firefighters Memorial and also the Beacon Hill Monument. As we go down the northern slope of Beacon Hill, and as the street that we now are facing tells you, Cambridge Street would guide you towards Cambridge. And before you were to get to Cambridge, you would first have to cross through Longfellow Bridge. So if you were to walk Cambridge Street to your left, you'd eventually find the beautiful Longfellow Bridge that crosses through over the Charles River and allows you to enter Cambridge. Before you were to find Longfellow Bridge, you then find also down this street Mass General Hospital, the first place that uses ether as an anesthetic, but also where we found one of the worst serial killers in our history, the famous Angel of Death. As we complete this turn, we're now going to be facing the City Hall Plaza, where you'd find the mayor's office and the multiple departments that belong to the City Hall. Now, we are going to be back at this left. We're going to be going all the way towards Congress Street, and we're going to be re-entering downtown historic Boston. Now, as we enter the historic end, we're going to be pointing some more locations. They'll be also very close to our stop number 1. So this City Hall in the Government Center sits about technically 5 minutes away from our stop number 1, also from our stop 2. And Congress Street would also be a street that would lead you towards the very first residential neighborhood in Boston as well. Now, before we enter Congress Street, we'll try to point out the famous steeple and window that changed the course of our history. So as we make in motion all the way ahead of us. In this case, if you're sitting downstairs, you might not see fully, but if you focus towards our left ahead of us, you'd see white steeple. And that would be the famous Old North Church. The steeple that changed the course of our history, where we have a moral victory. We lost the battle, but it's that moral victory that led to our independence. The Bunker Hill battle is extremely important because after that battle, the British leave our city to never return. And from there is where we famously see the two lights indicating how the British would be approaching the Battle of Bunker Hill, famously portrayed by the Midnight Riders. Now, we are on Congress Street, so we are returning towards historical Boston, and we also heading towards the financial district. Coming up ahead of us, on our left, you'd see 6 glass towers that beautifully climb through trees. Those would be the Holocaust Memorial. 6 towers that are here sitting, paying homage to the millions of victims of the Holocaust. Immediately behind the towers, you'd see the white umbrellas. They mark the Belly Inn Tavern. That claims to be the oldest pub in the country. Immediately past, you see the Union Oyster House with the red umbrellas that marks the oldest restaurant in our country. And if you were to visit any one of the side streets you see besides Yankee Building or Hennessy's, those are some of the original narrow streets from Boston. So they will guide you towards the first residential neighborhood in Boston, which is Blackstone Street. And as we are making motion,
Hey Daddy, can
on
we
your
go to
left, the
Burger
red brick building you
King?
see marks the Faneuil Hall. Faneuil Hall would be one of the first public building fully founded and funded by the Sons of Liberty in our country. Faneuil Hall also would be emblematically a building that sits beside Quincy Market. Now, when it's first constructed, you'd find the market here on the first floor, and now sits by Quincy Market behind it. And Faneuil Hall is the first place in our city where you can actually join the revolution, but also safely and freely voice your displeasure against the crown. As we are about to enter the financial district will now guide us towards our stop 1. Stop 1 is now where we're going to be restart this tour from the beginning point. And as we enter the financial district, we are also entering one of the oldest financial districts in our country.
There's the old steakhouse.
Now, where you see surrounding us, mostly commercial buildings. So the financial district is a place where you'd find offices for the major companies in town. So it's an area that does not really have many residential buildings. Mostly are commercial buildings that would be populated by hundreds of different businesses, thousands of different offices. This is where any business that wants to have an office in Boston would attempt to have an office. And it's an area that is populated by thousands of people because of the almost 400,000 people that commute into our city daily. During weekdays, this would be one of the places that receives most of those workers as well. Now, the financial district would be also one of the financial districts that ticks the charts whenever he opens daily. And as we are now heading to stop, we're going to be pretty soon approaching the last portion of our tour, which will guide us towards stop number 1. Stop number 1 is where we're going to be restarting our next tour, but it's also where we're going to be ending this tour.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on here until we come home. Then we're gonna get off and find us some shops. Well, this is where that interstate was. I wish it was down here where we could switch.
Now, as we are facing the Greenway, and we're also facing the beautiful Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, we're now going to be taking a left by Atlantic Avenue, and Atlantic Avenue will now guide us towards Long Wharf. Long Wharf will be our stop number one. So this will be one of the major avenues in town. The Greenway you see sits on top of the highway structures. So once we start making motions, if you notice on your right, you'd see the entrance to the highway. In this case, the I-90, I-93 connections sit underneath our city, and underneath the Greenway you see, you'll have about 10 different lanes underneath that Greenway that connect about 7.6 miles of highways, also the two tunnels on both sides of Boston, and 4 lines connecting I-90 to I-93. This is a project that comes into our city and is finalized in 2007, 16 years after it started in 1991, and was famously known as the Big Dig, as the expression says. They dug underneath our city, then they installed fully constructed tunnels that would be inserted inside of the harbor, replacing the elevated highway structure we had crossing through our city. We also allowing us to develop and reduce 12 to 16 hours of traffic you'd find daily through the same place. Now, this Greenway leads you from South Station all the way towards the north end by Hanover Street, and also populated by many experiences that would entertain you when you visit our city. Now, as we cross through Rose Wharf, pretty soon we're going to now be entering Central Wharf. Central Wharf will now guide us towards Long Wharf. So, you're now approaching the area where we usually start and end every tour. So once we approach this area, we're going to be receiving some more guests, preparing to start our next tour. Stop number one would be always where we start every route we have. So the orange, the purple, and the blue. In this case, this one was the blue. We're going to end the blue and restart the next one, which would be blue as well. But by stop number one is where you always decide which route you want to take. So whenever you return to this location, you have the chance to decide if you want to go towards the orange line, if you want to explore the north end in Charlestown Navy Yard. You also have a chance to decide if you want to repeat the blue line or the hop on above route. And if you do have a ticket that allows you to do the purple line, you also have a chance to jump on that route. And as we are entering Central Wharf, we We are now facing the New England Aquarium. We are beside the Central Wharf. We're going to loop the Central Wharf, and we're going to be immediately approaching Lockport.
So, Faneuil Hall is behind this building or the next stop?
Very well, guys. So this is our stop number 1. This is where we're gonna be now preparing to